So hello and welcome. My name is Paula Robbins, and I am the founder of consciouspreneurs.net, and you can find me at paularobbins.com. I'm here today with one of my dear friends, Jennifer Welch. She is someone that I've known since I stepped onto the path of wanting to become a hypnotherapist. So we trained together around the same time in 2006, 7, and 8, and many, many years since then. And her pathway is just so cool. Her presence is just so beautiful. I'm so honored that I get to share this time with her, with you. So Jennifer, thank you so much for doing this with me today.
Oh, thank you, Paula, for the incredible invitation to be with you. Very sweet.
Of course, of course. Yeah. So it's been such an incredible journey. We have gotten to work with literally thousands of people around the world.
Right.
We have grown and evolved in our own walk. And I would love for people to kind of know a little bit more about the Jennifer path. So you've got so many different things that you've done. And I'd love for you just to share kind of who are you? How'd you get here?
Yeah. So I've been seeing this meme on Facebook, and it says, we do not become healers. We came as healers. We do not become musicians, or we do not become lovers. We came as these things. And I think for so many of us, we know that just showing up in the world as children, we were automatically drawn to things that made our hearts sing. And that's certainly true for me. My path, I feel like it's been a really wandering path, finding what's important to me, what fills my heart with joy, and also what feels like is mine to offer in service. And so when I was little, I loved music. I loved dancing and singing and playing. And some of my fondest memories, my neighbor had this really smooth driveway. It was cement, and so it was really smooth. And I would take my roller skates and go round and round her driveway with my 8-track tapes. My mom had an 8-track tape player, and that was like my day was fulfilled if I could go roller skate round and round and listen to music. And so I just feel like I came into the world loving music. And part of my history is that when I was pretty young, I had a pretty traumatic brain accident, or I had a fall when I was in 3rd grade, and I landed on some pavement. I had fallen down a slide and suffered a traumatic brain injury. And in the 1980s, we did not know a lot about brain injury and how that affected child development, learning. But I went from being a really engaged student at the time to not being able to process auditory sound very well. I could see my teachers up at the board, like instructing, and I had no idea what they were saying.
Wow.
And so I was in 3rd grade, and by the time I got to 5th grade, I had to stay back a year. I was so far, I was having so much trouble keeping up and comprehending what was going on. But what happened during that time is that I had always wanted to play the flute. And so I started playing the flute in the school band, I think maybe in 4th or 5th grade. And to do that, I had to figure out how to move my fingers, how to follow along this line, how to listen to other people. And I feel like through that, it really retrained my brain to process all kinds of different sensory stimulation. And I also did some dance at the time, so that brought me back to music, back to my body. So I feel like the things that I loved initially were the things that also were the path for my own healing and moving forward. So I ended up studying music therapy initially. I got my bachelor's degree in music therapy, and I worked as a music therapist for 13 years. I worked with kiddos with special needs initially. And then I worked at a hospital in Denver when I was studying hypnotherapy. I worked at a hospital there on the ICU units providing music therapy. But I also knew at that time that being a musician, being on all the time, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
It's exhausting. to do that 8 hours a day with people. So I thought I would like to do counseling and integrate that in some way. And that's when I turned to hypnotherapy, because I found that that also was a modality that was so helpful for me in my own healing process. So I feel like it all just like every step has led me to the next step. And that led me to cellular release work. And that led me to embodiment practice. It all just kind of I just keep wandering down what calls to me and what feels exciting and helpful.
To me, it feels like it's truly just like the evolution and ascension of Jennifer.
Right.
You know, I know that's been my story too, that as we learn one thing and we kind of find our mastery, and then it's like, oh, this would really enhance this walk. Oh, this would really enhance this walk.
Right.
I think that's
absolutely. Absolutely. We're growing ourselves and sharing our gifts as we go along.
Well, and with music being such a fundamental part of your walk, tell me a little bit more about when you work with people now, or even in your own walk personally, how are you applying music to that now?
Yeah. You know, I actually stepped away from music for a number of years. When I met you, I was working at the hospital, and then I wanted to move more into private practice with hypnotherapy. And certainly I've used recorded music in sessions and things like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I stepped away from making music or playing with music. But now I'm really finding a call back to it. It feels like, okay, after we've done this deep healing work that so many people that we work with have done, like, okay, I've gone through the dark places, and now I want to celebrate life in some way and use that celebration as a way to kind of put the pieces back together. And so I find music is really beautiful in like I don't know, like the sprouting phase of our own healing growth, whether it's dancing or playing music, singing. It feels like it really is, it just feels like so life-giving. And so for me right now, there's a practice that I've been doing the last 2.5 years called 5 Rhythms Dance. Mm-hmm. And it's the work of, her name escapes me at the moment, but Gabriel Roth was created this system of dance. And what it does is it actually works, when you see the pattern, it looks like a spiral almost. And you start with really slow, gentle music that moves to more rhythmic, and then it goes into more really lots of drums and loud and heavy, and then it goes through the spiral and it goes back down to quiet, and you go through this, what they call a wave, this spiral wave. And what she found is that when people do this, they work through a lot of stuff. They work through a lot of emotions. It's like the container for the emotional work that people are doing at the time. And so I've been doing this practice here in Lawrence. I live in Kansas, and there's a woman named Laura Martin Eagle that owns a studio, and she holds these practices at least twice a week, where you can just go in for an hour and a half to 2 hours, make your way through this wave. No one talks to each other on the dance floor. It's all just people in their own experience dancing out their stuff. And so that's been incredibly powerful for me the last few years. And so that's one way that I use music. I'm not at the moment using a lot of music in my sessions with clients, but I see that there is a return coming where I'll be doing a lot more than I am now. I play music at home. Yeah, I just find so much joy in creating and playing with it. So right now at the moment I'm studying, and I'm planning to go back to school in the fall full time to get my master's in music therapy, because I know, as you said, like, we find ways to integrate these things at the right time. And so my hope is that I'll be studying more about how can I integrate music therapy with trauma healing work, because it feels like a really important piece for me.
I would agree. One of my biggest recommendations to anybody who will listen, really, not just clients, but friends, family, many of the women that I mentor, is sound therapy.
Mhm.
And I'm a big fan of just the sound therapy on YouTube, like the music for focus with the binaural beat or the isochronic tones.
Yeah.
It's been such a huge support for me. And I didn't even really know about music therapy until you and I met years ago. I'd always loved music, but I didn't know anything about the power of music until I became a hypnotherapist and started just kind of the fascination of how music can be integrated, and knowing that music was an actual form of therapy was such a cool new awareness. So I'm often on YouTube. I'll put in sound therapy for focus or confidence or sleep or, whatever. And it's just the technology
Yeah.
that's of the music that's super powerful. And, being this era of pandemic, one of the things that I'm a big fan of is the effect that music has on our physiology and our endorphins.
Yeah.
I firm believer, and they say laughter is the best medicine. They say that because of the endorphins that it builds, and then music does that too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Big fan, big
Endorphins and
fan.
dopamine, it's so important for healthy brain function and hormone balance. And you're absolutely right. Music promotes all of that. And what do we see happening right now? Live concerts are being streamed into homes all across the world to give people a sense of connection and boost those endorphins and dopamine levels. Absolutely.
Right. And I've seen many of them. I've so loved the live streaming, and I'm just fascinated at how much I've incorporated music in this last few weeks as things have been a little quieter. So yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
perfect timing to have you on the call.
Yeah.
So let's kind of switch gears and talk about life as a consciouspreneur.
Mm-hmm.
This is our work. We
Yeah.
work with greater consciousness, not only to support those that we serve, but within ourselves. And as you've walked this path as a music therapist, as a hypnotherapist, with all the different skills that you are employing now, what would you say is one of the more fulfilling experiences that you can share about, as far as how you've supported someone in the world? What's that done for you too?
Gosh, I have so many meaningful experiences with clients.
Yeah.
But I think when I'm asked that question specifically, I go back to my formative work. It feels like lifetimes ago when I was first working as a music therapist. And I think because the evidence of the power of music was so profound with the children that I was working with, I had a job in Omaha with the Omaha public school system. And I was working in a school that was set up for the children of the district that had the most difficulties, disabilities, or handicaps. So most of the children didn't walk. Many of them were tube-fed. Most of them didn't speak. We had communication devices we would use. And each classroom at this school was set up so that this small class of children, that usually was about 7 to 10 kiddos with paraprofessionals, each classroom was set up so that these kids could achieve whatever it is that they could achieve. And so it was such a wonderful environment to be in. And I worked part-time at this one school. I was there half a day every day of the week. And so I had a really close connection with these kiddos and the paraprofessionals that worked with them. And music was such an integral part of their day and so important. I would structure my sessions in such a way: we would do a hello song, then we would, work on the theme for the day, and then we'd do a goodbye song. And I had clients that when we got to the goodbye song would cry because we had had such great times together that they were like, oh, it's over. And so I was just working in that school was so moving for me. And to see little ones accomplish things because they were so excited to be in music. I had one little guy that he was supposed to be working on his fine motor skills, and he had an inner rebel that was so strong that if his teacher would ask him, he would just be adamant that he wouldn't do what she asked. But he would come to music, and he loved music, and he would play the guitar and move his little fingers independently. And so we would set up his IEP goals that we would be working on his fine motor skills and music therapy so that he could without knowing that he was working on his goals as teacher wanted him to, he would be doing, what was important for his growth. And there were so many stories just like that, but I loved that work just because it was so evident at how profound the changes were for the kiddos I was working with.
Oh, I love it. I love it. What a beautiful background to have and experience just to have on your own soul to get to participate at that level.
Yeah, really. There were days, I'm talking about the kiddos that would cry at the end of class, but there were times I would just be like, what the kiddos were accomplishing felt like so profound and monumental. I would be crying, just tears of joy and gratitude and gratefulness to be able to witness that, for sure.
Sure. I've had many of those experiences in my own just one-on-one work with individuals, that honor of just like, look at them. Look at them. Look, they're healing. Oh my gosh, look what just happened. Yeah, it's been super beautiful to get to work in partnership, soul to soul with people at that level, and just really have the honor of
absolutely
working with
absolutely.
people. Yeah, totally.
I have doing that work, I just had such a profound sense that individuals that come in with disabilities, like their soul agenda is so powerful, and they are such teachers and guides for all of us.
And I, like you said, we choose. And I really, I've seen that and witnessed that they choose that path to support others in many ways, to be compassionate, to be empathetic, to learn tolerance and patience. There's so much that we learn because we are just by nature, humanity is loving. So when we love a small child that has a disability, we will learn so much through that love.
Yeah.
It's very powerful.
Yeah. And to see them as whole and perfect just as they are.
Yeah.
It's a profound lesson for everyone. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Of being compassionate and empathetic and tolerant of all. Everybody's got their story, and we don't know what that is until we know what that is. So as you walked as a consciouspreneur, you've been at this so many more than the 12 years that I've known you, 13 years that I've known you. What would you say is one of the most important pieces for you, or what's a piece of advice that you would offer to other consciouspreneurs as they are either building or kind of growing their own companies or businesses or messages?
Yeah. I think there are a few things for me that are really important. And I think the first thing that I had to really grapple with was, what is my definition of success? Mm-hmm. And I think that that's really important, especially when you set out in a business. Mm-hmm. What is your definition of success? Because there are so many models for what businesses can look like. And I know for myself, especially when I was first starting my hypnotherapy practice, I would look around and see what other people were doing. And I would always find some way to not feel good enough, or that I wasn't doing enough, or mine doesn't look like that. And it was really confusing, and I felt like I wasn't being a good business person. But once I realized, my path is unique. This is why I chose this path. Every one of us is on this path because we have a unique calling that's just for us. And so I, as a unique soul making this choice, I get to choose what is success for me. Is it going to be that I have so many clients? Is it going to be I'm making so much money? Or am I going to determine it in another way? And so that's really what I would invite people to ask, is what is success for you? And because I think that informs everything else that you do. And if you can come from a place of knowing what that means for you, then you can make choices that are in alignment with that. Mm-hmm. And then the second piece that I think follows up with that is, and probably my guess is so many of the people that you interview probably say this, but is be true to yourself. No one can do what you're doing. Only you can do that. if we see flowers, I brought in these beautiful flowers from outside because I wanted them to be here. But, these are beautiful little flowers. I have no idea what their name is, but these cannot be beautiful white roses or orange lilies. They can only be what their seed came into the world to be. And in the same way, we can only be what we're meant to be. And if we're trying to grasp at what other people are doing or trying to do it this way, it's going to be inauthentic to our own souls. And so you have to decide what's really me, what is success, and how do I want to go about that in the way that feels best for me. So
Right.
I think when I thought about that, that felt like the pieces that once I got clear with that, it made other things feel so much easier and better.
Well, and I think that it takes courage. I think that's I just recently watched a podcast about this exactly. And, moving my message into more of an online digital product, the biggest piece is if you own who you are and you really just start carrying your authentic message, you have to find the courage to do that.
Absolutely. There's so much courage that's required. You step into a place of vulnerability. Yeah, it can be, I don't know about you, Paula, but I know for me, that's been one of the biggest challenges, to staying true to
Sure.
those seeds of what I want for my business and for myself.
I completely agree. And I think that that's where we evolve. I mean, I can honestly say that when I stepped onto this path 13 years ago and just started training, it was so overwhelming and, exciting and fascinating and scary. I had no idea how much what I learned I would make my own over the years. No, there's no way I could have known that. Mm-hmm. And now that I am, a few years in and I'm more versed, it's such a beautiful message to be able to carry to others. Be true to yourself, really hone your own evolution, and trust that. Yeah. Because you're going to get there at some point. You might as well try now.
Right. Wherever you go, there you're going to be. So you might as well make peace with it. Yeah, use it to your advantage.
Right. I completely agree. Yeah. So tell us, what are you up to now? What are you doing these days? And how are you serving of that just amazing gifted soul of yours now?
Yeah. So what I'm doing right now, we are in the midst of global pandemic, and we're following stay-at-home orders. And initially, when all of this transpired, I felt really overwhelmed for the first week or so, and then I thought, okay, I'm feeling called to serve. I don't know how, but I'm feeling called. And in that first weekend, I got really clear. What I want to do is hold both a balance of time for myself and serve clients. So I'm seeing maybe 3 to 4 clients a day, not very many. I'm not working in the mornings just because the energy feels it's intense. So I'm just seeing a few clients a day, but I'm working through the weekend, 2 Saturdays, and I'm offering 3 different things. I have a free Facebook group that's called Calming Connections. And so there I'm posting little daily meditations from the Book of Awakening by Mark Nepo. He's a beautiful writer, and he has these little daily meditations. So I'm posting those daily just because that's immediately when all this started, that's what I reached for. And I thought I can share those with other people because it feels grounding and helpful for me. And I thought, my guess is somebody else might want that too. So I've got this little Facebook group called Calming Connections. I offer those. And then I'm also doing once a week, just a live video check-in, offering some tools for nervous system regulation.
Wonderful.
So that's going on. And then I'm offering sessions, 60-minute sessions for what I'm calling soothing system hypnosis sessions, which is we're doing relaxation and breathing, visualization and affirmation based on whatever a client wants or needs. And these are all, of course, online. And then I also am offering 90-minute sessions for people that need a little bit more support and feel like they're ready to do some more embodiment work or cellular release clearing work. And so they can do a little bit longer, and we can take some time to do some trauma healing work through those. So that's what I'm offering at the moment. Yeah.
Wonderful. Great. Great. So how can people find you? If anyone watching or listening wants to connect with you, to take you up on some of these offerings, how do they reach you?
Yeah, so with the first offering, the Calming Connections, that's on Facebook. So you'll have to just go to Facebook and submit look for Calming Connections group and submit an invite or an inquiry to be part of the group. I can't remember exactly what that's called.
Join group.
But if clients want to schedule a session with me, they can do so on my website, and that's jenniferleewelch.net. Or they can send me an email to jennifer@jenniferleewelch.net.
Perfect. And that'll be on this recording. So when I post this, that website and the contact information will be a part of the video. So,
Great.
So wonderful. Gosh, just so good to visit with you and check in and share you with the world and let people know kind of who you are and what you do and just the beauty of your spirit. I so appreciate your time and that you're, willing to share with all of us.
Absolutely. And I want to say, Paula, I'm so grateful for you because you are one of the brightest supporters of human spirit and evolution. I mean, really, you do. No, I mean that. I saw that eye roll, but
I was like, wow.
No, really, you really are so supportive of so many people, and you really call forward the best in all of us, and you share that in such a really wonderful way. And I think right now that's what we need. We need people that are willing to support others in their own shining, to shine as bright as we can, but to support others in their shining too. And you do that really beautifully. So I'm so grateful for you. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you so much. I so appreciate the kind words. If there's somebody asked me the other day, so what would you say is like your gift? What's your gift? And I believe that we have gifts. I believe everybody has gifts. And I said, I think I see the light in others. I see where their light is. Even if they're not seeing it, I see it. And I try really hard to pull it out. Because when we live from that place of light, there is such a beauty in our walk and in our freedom and in our honor and fulfillment of just living, the best we can on here, the earthly plane. So,
well, you do it in a beautiful way. So thank you. Thank you.
Well, you've been a part of that, It's been really cool to walk this journey together. So thank you again. Just so grateful for your time, grateful to have you here. And you'll see this posted here. I'm going to have it in the consciouspreneurs.net membership and a few other social media outlets. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Right.